How's it going, guys? Thomas Draven here, back again for another video, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're actually taking a look at a bass, which is kind of unusual for the channel. I don't know if I've ever really done a proper full-length bass review before. That being said, I do love bass and what it brings to a composition, especially when it's such a pivotal part of a mix. Let's take, for example, Metallica's One. Or Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah. Or great modern music like Animals as Leaders' Physical Education. Someone talk to me? So all of those songs have, really important bass parts in them, and they wouldn't sound complete without them. So that being said, today we're going to be taking a look at probably my favorite bass, the Agile Headless Bass. I believe it's called like an HXB or something like that. I'll pull up the actual full name because Agile has some weird names for their products. So as it turns out, upon actually finding the webpage for this bass, it's actually not as ridiculous of a name as most other Agile guitars or Brice instruments. This is the Brice HXB-404 Headless 34 bass, essentially meaning that it is a headless bass with a 34-inch scale length, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Actually, as a matter of fact, what's interesting is that the online listing for the one that I'm looking at right now is actually what I believe is the bass that they used in the stock images. You can see the grain patterns compared to the picture. That this is the exact same bass as what's on the product page. So that's kind of cool. That being said, if y'all will remember the unboxing video I did of this, I thought that this was going to be a fretless bass and was very disappointed when it came out as a fretted bass instead, and I forgot to do another review for 6 months probably. I don't remember at this point how long ago it was, but essentially I thought this was going to be fretless. It is fretted, but I'm kind of okay with that now. Alright, so for specs, we have a Carina body with a burl ash top, a maple neck, and a rosewood fretboard. Again, it's headless, so you have the little lockers at the top, and it's, obviously a 34-inch scale all around. Jumbo frets, as far as I'm aware. Tuning machines on this end, obviously. We have 2 soap bar pickups. We have a volume, blend, and an active EQ, so bass, middle, treble, and an on-off switch for the active preamp. Bolt-on neck, battery box in the back, and obviously there is our cavity. So as you guys do know, I am a sucker for headless instruments. I own predominantly headless guitars. I only currently own one headed guitar, or as some people call them, normal guitars. That being said, 2 of my basses are headed. One is a Fender, the other one is a Red Sub Coliseum bass. So this is my only headless bass, but that being said, it is a powerhouse in its own right, especially when compared to slightly nicer basses like my Fender. It definitely stacks up pretty well. The pickups and the electronics are what you would expect. They're not the highest quality, but they aren't totally unusable. And this bass clocks in at 8 pounds, so whereas some basses can err on the heavier side, being 9, 10, 11 pounds. Like most headless instruments, you can strap this onto yourself for a solid few hours and not be worried about having scoliosis or back problems or whatever. So now onto the quality sort of aspects of this instrument. Whenever I get an instrument from Agile or Brice, it is always such a pleasant surprise because these instruments are always made with at least, you know, a decent consideration to quality and care, and making sure that you get something that's usable and, you know, isn't broken out of the box, essentially. I will mention that this has been used live by my band a few times for some of our shows, and so if you see any imperfections in the finish, understand that it is not from the factory. It's from the fact that I've owned this bass for, you know, 6-8 months at this point, I think, and it's been used live quite extensively, so it's got a bit of wear and tear just from us being rough on stage. So, you know, there's a couple chips in the finish now, and, like, you know, a couple little marks in the neck, but that's not the fault of Rondo. That is the fault of owner mistreatment or something of that nature. But other than that, outside of the things that are very obviously from either me or my bandmates, the quality control is really good. This bass came set up really nicely, which is kind of surprising. I will say the neck pocket is nice and tight, but the screws on the neck joint, on the bolt-on neck, there is some like chipping out of that region just around those circles, and the screws look, I don't know, like a little dusty for whatever reason. Like, they don't look super clean, but again, they're on the back of the guitar, so it doesn't really make too huge a difference in my opinion, because I'm sure they're perfectly functional. It's just like minor aesthetic things that are worth noting. Another thing that's really important to note is that the contouring on the back is super interesting. If you see me looking up, it's because I don't want to put this through my fan, but you have big contour around the edge, and that contour extends all the way around the body over to the other side here. So it's very contoured, very comfortable. The body is, you know, pretty thin, all things considered. And yeah, it just holds up really, really nicely. Like, I don't have a lot of complaints, or really any complaints, about this bass in general. The top looks fantastic. Like, the wood grain here is just so beautiful. And yeah, overall, just a really solid player. And yeah, it sounds pretty okay, pretty good. I wouldn't say it sounds great or perfect. You know, it sounds pretty good, just given the fact that the electronics are definitely on the cheaper side. But if I were to go ahead and upgrade these, as well as the active preamp, I think that this bass would be an absolute beast that could stack up to just about anything, and you would have a total ripper on your hands. So anyways, guys, that'll be it for today. This is the Brice HXB-404 Headless Bass, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the fact that I've started putting the sound demos at the beginning of the videos as opposed to the end, just in case you want to hear the bass and go, as opposed to hearing me talk about it too extensively. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.